I have learned a new way to solve the Rubik's Cube in a beginner's method, and it is the easiest by far that I have ever seen. So I'm going to go through it very quickly. We have 7 basic steps. We will solve the white cross first, then the white corners, then this middle layer. Then we will do a yellow cross. We'll position the corners, we'll flip the corners, and then we'll finally solve these last edges. So before I start, I just want to go through something very quickly. Of course, this is how the Rubik's Cube, a standard one, looks when it's solved. As you know, when you move the slices around, the centers actually, they rotate, but they stay put. So the yellow, for example, will always be opposite the white. The green will always be opposite the blue, and the red opposite the orange. That really is not that important for this particular solving, but it's useful to know. It's also useful to know the basic moves that we have. They're denoted when they're written down in an algorithm with a letter that means to move that face clockwise with respect to as if you were looking at it. And if it's followed by an apostrophe, it's called a prime, and that's to move it counterclockwise. So for example, if I were holding the cube like this, the upper is this top layer. The front, or F, is facing me. The right, of course, is on the right. The left is on the left. B is the back, so that's back there. And D is the down face. So these are the letters that would be used. And so, for example, to move this right face 1 turn, which is a quarter turn, an R would indicate to move it like that, because that's moving it clockwise as if you were looking at it. Since it's on the right, you're not actually looking at it, but if you were looking at it, clockwise is that way, counterclockwise is that way. So that's an R. That would be an R prime. This is the U, so a U would be clockwise as if you were looking at it. A U prime would be the opposite way. L is a little trickier because you might think that a regular L moves away from you like the R does, but remember, it's how it would be if you were looking at it. So this is the L side. If you were looking at it, clockwise would be that way. So an L move would actually be moving toward you. All right, with that being said, there's really only one algorithm you need to know for this, and sort of the mirror version of it. So some people in the cubing community call this basic algorithm the sexy move because it's used a lot in a lot of algorithms, and if you use finger tricks, it feels fairly smooth to use. And then there's sort of the mirror one, which I'll show you. So the basic sexy move, or we'll call it the right on this one, happens on the right. You do an R, so that would be an R clockwise, then a U, which would be a U clockwise, then you move R back, so that's an R prime, and you move U back, which would be a U prime. And that's all there is to that. If you do it with finger tricks, instead of moving your whole hand, I position my right hand so these 3 fingers are on top and my thumb is on the bottom. So then when I do the R, my index finger back here is already positioned to do a U just by pushing like that. And then the next move is an R prime. We still have a hold of it, so we could just move back. And then the last part is a U prime, and we have this index finger ready to go. So there's a U prime. And you can practice that and get a lot faster at it. And the interesting thing about this move too, if you do it over and over, 5 times you'll cycle through the whole cube. Now the second algorithm that we'll have to learn for this beginner's method is really very similar to the first, but instead of happening on the right side, it happens on the left side. So what we do is we do an L prime, we do a U prime, we bring L back to us, and we do a regular U. So if you remember the moves from the right side, we're just doing what that would look like on the left. And again, if you want to do finger tricks instead of moving your whole hand, position your fingers on top, your thumb on the bottom, and then when you do the L prime, your finger is already positioned to do the U prime. You still have a hold of it, so you can do the L and go back to that, and then use this index finger to do the U. And that's a good one to practice too, and just like on the other one, if you do it 6 times, it returns the cube to normal. So if we do that, and then do it again, and do it again, and we're back to normal. So those two algorithms, or really the right side and the left side of the same one, are all we need for this, with a few variations of how to hold the cube and how to move it, and we'll be able to solve it using the beginner's method. So I'm going to scramble the cube and I'll be right back. Okay, this is the white cross, and in this beginner's method, what we're going to do is we're going to make this piece here, which is like a cross. So we have the white center that's not going to move. It might rotate, but it stays down here on this face. And we're going to get these edge pieces to be white. In this easy beginner's method, what we do is we turn the cube so we're looking at the yellow side. And what we want to do is bring each of the 4 white edge pieces. So an edge piece has white on one of its halves and then a color on its other half. So here's the blue and white one, for example. We want to bring each of the white pieces up to this top yellow. Some people will call this a daisy. You'll see why when we're done. So this one is already here. For this beginner's method, we don't care right now that this color and this center on this side are different. All we want to do is get these 4 pieces up here. So here we have one. Now if we moved it to the top, the easiest way would just be to move it like that, and then it's on top. But it moves the one we already had out of the way. So to take care of that, we simply rotate the U slice to free up that spot. And now when we rotate this, we've put another one on top. This happens to match, but again, right now we don't need to worry about that. So let's find another white edge. Okay, here's a white edge. Now this is a little trickier when it's like that, because there's no way to move it up to the top. We don't want to move the middle slice because we don't want to move the yellow. So what we have to do is we have to rotate this slice that it's on, either to this side or to this side, so that then the next move is easy. And we did this before. We saw one oriented like this, where we knew, oh, we've got a blank space up here. Let's just rotate that up to there, and it's perfect. So we now have 3 of the 4. Let's find the 4th. Okay, and there it is. So again, we just need to move it to the top, and this is nice because that's an empty space. We can just move it like that. So now ignore this corner, but we have this daisy. We have a yellow center and the 4 white pieces around it. I'm going to change something though, because there's another case that we didn't cover. Suppose you're looking for the piece and it's nowhere to be found on the sides like this, like we found that one. Well, then it will be on the bottom. So what you need to do is find it. So here we found it. And what you would like to do is rotate this whole slice that it's on so that it's facing on the top. But if we did it like this, we'll move this good one out of the way. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is similar to what we did before. Let's move this empty space over there by rotating the U slice. And now we can just rotate this 180 degrees. And there it is on top. At this point, when we have our daisy, it's really easy. What we want to do is we want to find a piece like this, the blue and white, and just rotate it so that it's on top of the center piece that's the same color. Once it is, we turn this whole slice 180 degrees. And we repeat that for all four. So here's a green one. So we want to find the green center. There it is. And now we rotate this 180 degrees. And the orange, same thing. Let's find the orange. It matches there now, so we can rotate this slice 180 degrees. And the last one we have is the red one. And there's the red matched up. And so we can rotate this 180 degrees. And if we flip the cube over now and look at the white side, ignore the corners right now, we have the white cross, which is what our goal was for the first step, and it's intuitive. There's no actual algorithm for that. Now we move on to step 2. We've done the white cross, and so what we want to do now is we want to get the white corners down here, but we want to get them in their right places. Here's one that's already there. It's white, red, and green, and you know it's in the right place because the white is on the side with the white center, the red sticker is on the side with the red center, and the green is on the side with the green sticker. So that one's already good to go. Now this one, there is white on the bottom, but this is the wrong place. This is the red center, so this should be red, and this is the blue center, so this side should be blue. So this one doesn't go here. So we're going to move it out of the way in a minute, but we'll be able to do that by putting the right one that goes there in its place, and that will obviously have to move it because you can't have two pieces in the same place. So the way we do this is with that right algorithm that I mentioned before. We basically hold the cube so the white is on the bottom, and we find a corner piece that has a white sticker. So this is the white, blue, and red. We move the U slice so it's on top of where it belongs. So since this is white, red, and blue, we know it's going to go down here because of blue, white, and red. So it's above where it needs to go. And now all we do is that right or sexy algorithm until it's down here and the white is facing down. You don't have to rotate the cube in the middle or anything. You just keep doing that algorithm until it happens. I'll show you. So the first one would be RU R prime U prime. Okay, it's down there, but the white's not facing down. We don't change anything else. We just do it again. RU R prime U prime. Okay, it's not there. RU R prime U prime. It's down there, but not oriented right. Let's do it again. RU R prime U prime. Still not there. RU R prime U prime. And look, it's in the perfect place. So we just repeat that for these other four. So here's a corner piece. It's orange and green and white. So let's find where that goes. That's going to go down here because we know we need white, we need green, and we need orange. So it's above where it needs to go. And we just need to do that right algorithm again. So RU R prime U prime. And look, in one move, or I'm sorry, one instance of doing the algorithm, it put that correctly down there. So now let's find this one. It's blue and orange and white. So where is it? There it is. We position it above where it goes. Do that right algorithm. RU R prime U prime. That didn't do it. Do it again. RU R prime U prime. That didn't do it. RU R prime U prime. Not oriented right. RU R prime U prime. Not quite. RU R prime U prime. And now it's down there. So as you can see, all four of our white corners are in their right places. In the process of doing that, we moved the one that was already down there but in the wrong place out of the way, so that took care of itself. And we have the bottom slice solved. The next step in this beginner's method, now that we have the white slice solved, is we need to do this second layer. And so these are edges, and we need to do those. What we need to do, for example here, since this is the green side and the red side, we need to find the edge that's green and red. And it happens to be over here. So let's start with seeing if we can find any edge pieces that are on this top slice, and we'll start with those. So an edge piece that goes in this middle layer does not have yellow on it. So here's one that has two colors that aren't yellow, so orange and blue. So let's rotate this so that the side facing us, which is blue, is above its correct center. So there, that's above its correct center. Forms sort of a T, an upside down T. All right, so with this, what we want to do is we want to look at the other color then. So this is orange, and figure out if it goes to the right or if it goes to the left. Since this is the red side and it's orange, it doesn't go over here. So we know it goes over here because this is the orange side. So we're going to use one of those two algorithms we learned in the beginning, and the way we know which one is we do this. We first determine which way it's going. Okay, so we know it's going to the left. So since it's going to the left, the first thing we want to do is move this slice so it's furthest away from the left. So we're going to rotate this over like that. So it's out of the way from the left. And then what we're going to do, since we're moving to the left, is we're going to do that left algorithm that we learned in the beginning. So that you put your fingers on top like this, and you do the L prime, U prime, L back again, and then the U. And then what you do, in this case, is you rotate the cube counterclockwise so that the white is over on the right. You just did a left move, so we're going to put this white corner just for kicks over on the right, and then we're going to do that right move. So that's R, U, R prime, U prime. And look, it's put that edge piece correctly in there. So let's find another one that's got on the top an edge that's got two colors and not one of them is yellow. So this one, for example, is not what we're looking for because there is yellow. This one, green and red, is perfect. So we want to find the green side and align that. Okay, so we did that. We now have that T we talked about. And again, we want to figure out, is it going to go to the right, which is orange, or to the left, which is red? It's red, so we want to go to the left. So this is exactly like we did last time. We first move it away from the side we're going to, so let's move it that way. Now we do that left move, which is those 4 steps like we covered. We want to rotate the cube so the white part is over on the right because we just did left. Now we're going to do right, and we do the right algorithm. And we've inserted that edge. So we have that one done. So let's find another one. All right, the blue and yellow, so that's not what we want. Orange and yellow is not what we want. Green and yellow is not what we want. Okay, and yellow and red's not what we want. So this is a good example, and sometimes these beginner videos that you see on YouTube don't cover this. What happens if you can't find the piece that you want in this top layer? Well, that means it's already in the second layer, but it's in the wrong place. Or it's in the, so this one, for example, is in the wrong place because it should be the orange and the green here. Sometimes it's in the right place, but it's flipped. We don't have one of those, but I will show you what to do with that. So what we need to do, and you'll get used to this, is we just need to move one of these up to the top. But the way to do that is not by moving the slice it's in, because that will affect that corner that we've already done on the bottom. So what we want to do is we just want to pick this piece, and we want to get this one out of the way, so we're just pretending like this is the T and this is what we want to move to here. So since we want to move this to the right, we move this as far away from the right as we can, so we move it that way. We're moving to the right, so we're going to do the right algorithm, so that's RU, R prime, U prime. Since this white is on the right now, we just did the right, we want to move it to the left and do our left moves. And so we've now put that arbitrary piece right there, which was only so we could get the good edge piece out of there. So now there should be one on the top, and here is the one we moved. So it's orange and green. So let's move that over the orange edge. We have the orange T, and we can now move this. Does green go to the left or to the right? Well, it goes to the left. So we're going to move it down to here, and the way we do that, as you remember, we move this away from that left side, so over to there. We now do the left algorithm because we're moving it to the left. Now we rotate the cube so we can do the right one, and it's put the edge piece there. So now we have that edge piece correct, that edge piece correct. That one's not, but that one is. So we've got one more. We've got the blue and red somewhere. So let's see if we can find it. And there it is. So we know blue and red goes here. This is not how we want to align it, because this is not the same color as that, and that does not form the T. We want to rotate it over to the red side. So now we have the T, and then those two match. So interestingly enough, we're moving this to the left again. The left is blue, so we want to move it out of the way from the left side. So it's out of there. We do our left algorithm. We rotate the cube that way, so we can now have this white over here and do the right algorithm. We do our right algorithm, and we've inserted that edge. So as you can see now, we have the first two layers of the cube already solved. Okay, we're on to our next step. We have the first two layers completely solved, and we now need to do what we're calling the yellow cross. So your cube could be in one of three situations. Since we're talking about the cross, again, we're talking about just these edge pieces and this yellow center. So you can ignore the corners for right now. So you'll have one of three situations. You'll either have a bar like this, not the full cross, but a bar. You might have a right angle like this. And again, you could have some corners, you could have maybe another piece, but then you'd also have a bar. Or you could have what they call the dot. And this is just the centerpiece. But the nice thing about how I'm going to teach you is the moves are going to be the same for all of them. It's just how you orient the cube that's a little different. And what these moves are, I'll start with the dot. It's going to be that same right algorithm that we learned earlier. And it doesn't matter how you hold it. I mean, the dot is on top. You have to hold the first two layers on the bottom like that, but it doesn't matter how this top slice is oriented, as I'm showing you. That doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to move this slice one move clockwise. This is the F slice because it's facing us. And to move it one move clockwise, we turn it like this. Sorry, only one. And then we do that right algorithm. So R, U, R prime, U prime. And then we move this F slice back, so it's an F prime. And what that has done has taken us to the angle move. So it's the same situation as this with a corner thrown in, but like I said, ignore the corners. So with this angle one. The trick is, don't have it oriented any of these ways. Have it oriented so it's in the bottom right like this. If it were an analog clock, which some of you may be too young to know what that is, it would be at 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And then you do the same move that we just did. So we do an F, which is clockwise, and then our right algorithm. So R, U, R prime, U prime, and then move the F slice back. And what that takes us to is the bar. And like I said earlier, the bar could have a corner or so, or it could just be plain like this. The trick with the bar then is, if you have the bar, don't have it oriented vertically, but rather turn it so it's oriented horizontally. And we do that same move that we were doing before. We do an F slice to the right, so an F. Then we do our right algorithm, R, U, R prime, U prime, and we return F by doing an F prime. And now we have the yellow cross, which was the next step of this. All right, this next step, just to reiterate, we have the white bottom, the whole first layer, the whole second layer, and the yellow cross done. What we'll do now is we will place the yellow corners in their right slots, even though they might be twisted. So you will either have all 4 of them already correct, or you will have 2 of them correct, and 2 of them might be next to each other, like these 2 or these 2, or they might be diagonally across from each other. So I will show you. If it looks like you have none in the right place, you just have to rotate this top slice. So for starters, for example, this one is green and orange. It's not in the right place because we need red and blue. This one is green and red. Okay, it is in the right place because it's a green and red. So we've got one that's in the right place. This one, blue and orange, not in the right place. And this one, red and blue, not in the right place. So this looks like we only have one that's in the right place. But like I said, you'll either have all 4 or 2 of them. So what we do is we rotate it and try again. So by rotating it, we now have green and orange. That's not the right place. Red and green. That's not the right place. Blue and orange. Oh, okay, that's in the right place. And red and blue, that's in the right place. So you see, when it looked like we didn't have 2, we really do. We have these 2, even though they're flipped, they're in the right place, because this needs to be the red and blue and yellow one, and this needs to be the blue and orange and yellow one. So the only 2 that are wrong are these 2. So the way we do this is we position the cubes so that the 2 that are wrong are on the right like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to do that right algorithm that we learned before 3 times. Then we're going to rotate the cube, and we're going to do the left one 3 times. So I'll do this right algorithm 3 times. So R, U, R prime, U prime, there's once. R, U, R prime, U prime, there's twice. R, U, R prime, U prime, 3 times. This, we can use this white as an indicator that we want to rotate the cube so it's over there on the left, just to remind us. So we just did the 3 right ones, so now we'll do the 3 left ones. Okay, so at first glance, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look right. They don't look right. Well, all you have to do is rotate so they are in the right place. So here is orange and green. That's orange and green. That's green and red. Okay, that's in the right place. Blue and red. Okay, that's in the right place. And orange and blue. That's in the right place. So that only took that sequence once. if you have them diagonal instead of next to each other, which we call adjacent, like this, you have to do that series of moves twice, and I'll set that up and come back and show you what that looks like. All right, here's the case I just mentioned where we have the yellow cross. Of course, the first 2 layers are done. And we have this corner not in the right place because we need blue and orange. This one, green and orange, is in the right place. This one is not, it's blue and orange. This one is red and blue. It is in the right place. So what we have are these opposite diagonal ones that are in the right place, but the moves we just did before were for the adjacent ones. So we start doing this one. Like I said, you'll have to just do the sequence we did before twice, but you have the cube oriented so they're diagonally like this, one in the upper left and one in the lower right. You do that sequence, which was 3 right of our algorithms, rotate the cube, and then do 3 left. So we'll do it once. There's once, twice, 3 times. We rotate that way to do the left 3 times. And now let's see where we are. So we have orange and green, that's in the right place. Red and green's in the right place. Orange and blue is wrong, and that's wrong. So what this has done is basically flip them from being diagonally different. So now there's 2 that are adjacent that are mixed up. So we covered this before, but we basically just rotate the cube so these are on the right, and we do those algorithms again. We do 3 times on the right, rotate the cube, and 3 times on the left. So and now we might have to rotate this to see where we are. So we have the red and blue over the red and blue, blue and orange over the blue and orange, green and orange, and red and green. And so we have accomplished putting the yellow corners in their right slots, even though they're flipped. All right, we're on the second to the last step. We have, just to recap, the first 2 layers done. We have the yellow cross, and we have all of the yellow corner pieces in their proper slots. They might just be flipped. So what we're going to do now to fix the orientation of these yellow corners is, because of course we want the yellow stickers all facing this way. This one is correct already. So what we want to do is basically like we did with the white corners, is we want to turn the cube so that the yellow side is on the bottom. We want to find a corner in the lower right, like this one, that needs flipping. And we do our right algorithm until the yellow over here is facing down. So watch closely. We'll do the algorithm once. It's not facing down. There, it's facing down. So that is correct. Now don't panic because the rest of the cube here is messed up a little bit. But that's okay. If you do the following, hold on to the cube, don't rotate it, but rotate this bottom slice so that we're moving another corner down to this lower right spot that needs the yellow on the bottom. So this next one also needs the yellow on the bottom. So now that it's in this right position for us to get ready, let's just do that right algorithm again until the yellow's facing down. So we'll do our algorithm once. It's not facing down. We'll do it again. And it's facing down. So again, don't be alarmed by the rest of this mess. Just rotate this bottom slice to find another corner on the bottom that's yellow that needs to be flipped. So we'll rotate this once, and that one's already okay. So we'll just rotate it again, and this very last one needs flipping. So it's in the right place now, so let's just do our algorithm. Okay, it's not ready. And now it's been flipped. So if we turn the cube over, we see that all of the yellow is facing up. And that finishes that step. And here we are to do the final step. So we have done the first 2 layers, we did the yellow cross, we did the yellow corners, and now what we need to do is fix the yellow edges that are off. So we have a solid bar here. We can move that over to the orange side. So that side's actually okay. So we really only have this edge, and this edge that are off. At this point, you will either have no edges that are off, in which case your cube will be solved. You'll have 3 edges that are off, like this, or you'll have all 4. I'll show you what to do, but with all 4, you just need to do the sequences. I'm going to show you at least twice, maybe 3 times, and depending on how these colors are, you may need to do the sequence I'm going to show you once or twice. But the sequence, we already know it. It uses the right turns and the left turns, just in an interesting number of ways. So what we do is we rotate the cube so that if there is a solved edge, it's facing you. If all 4 of these are off, it doesn't matter how it's facing you, but I'll show you that in a minute. So this is facing us. What we're going to do is we're going to do the right algorithm once, then that left algorithm once, then the right algorithm 5 times, and then the left algorithm 5 times. Okay, so here we go. We'll do the right algorithm once. We'll do the left, and we don't do any rotating. We'll do the left algorithm once. Now we'll do the right algorithm 5 times. So there's once, it's twice, 3 times, 4 times, and 5 times. And now we do the left side 5 times. There's 3, 4, 5. And look, that has solved the cube. Congratulations. On that last step, we were lucky because we only had 3 edges that were off. Here's a case I told you I would show you where all 4 of these edges are off. So in this case, it doesn't matter which side we have facing us. Let's just pick this one, and what we're going to do is that same sequence. So it's the right algorithm once, the left once, the right 5 times, and the left 5 times. So we'll do the right side once, do the left side once, and we'll do the right side 5 times. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And do the left side 5 times. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And what that has done is it has fixed one side. So now we just have 3. And I showed you how to do that before. We just do that same sequence of moves with the solved side facing us. You may have to do it twice. If you do those moves and you still have 3 that are off, they will be different colors than they were before, but all you need to do is still put the solved side facing you, do that sequence, and you will solve your cube. So there you go.